We have Logan Cohen, who is a 2008 graduate of Great Valley. She received dual degrees from Florida International in finance and international business. She's been named to Forbes 30 under 30 in education, Magic Johnson's 32 under 32, CIO's top 20 female entrepreneurs to watch in 2017. Wow, this list goes long. She's a co-founder and co-CEO of KÜDZOO, an application that recognizes and rewards students for their academic achievements, good habits, and kindness. And that's been downloaded over 500,000 times. She's a very sought after speaker on stages at college campuses and business conferences throughout the country on the subject of entrepreneurship. And even back in 2017, she was a presenter at TEDx Great Valley. So Logan, welcome back. And thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. It's so nice to be back.
There's a lot of risk when you're being an entrepreneur. Playing it safe or working for somebody else is an option, but you chose to go your own path. How come?
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you brought up the risk associated, because so often it's been glamorized. This entrepreneurship is more than just a hustle all the time meme that we see online. So personally, what led up to it was I had a very structured past. As you mentioned, I majored in finance and international business, and it wasn't until an idea called me. And what I mean by that is I felt pulled that when my mind was racing or wandering, I kept going back to, does this exist? Why doesn't it exist? Am I the one to make it exist? So that kind of structure, entrepreneurship pulls you. You can, of course, try to facilitate that process. But for me personally, I kind of was more of a mitigating risk until I wanted to build. Of course, I love what I do, but there are aspects like looking for an error in the code that you don't love. So there are aspects each and every day that you're striving for this North Star and building towards it, because that's your true calling.
Okay. What skill set, in your opinion, are essential for people starting their own business?
Have an open mind. And what I mean by that is be comfortable knowing what you don't know. So often, and I was guilty of this, I was in my early 20s when I first started my company. I was too often the only woman in the room. It's getting better now, but I was trying to prove something. And I realized I was proving it to myself, and it was from my own insecurities. And with age and with some experience, admitting what you don't know or saying, hey, let me check and let me get back to you, rather than a knee-jerk reaction and then having to live towards it, is something that is really helpful.
Okay. When did you start focusing and planning on a career?
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to study business, and that's what I did. But I think it's important to note that we should all start yesterday saying, what type of person do I want to be? And it wasn't until I had that mental shift where the company started thriving as well. Do you want to be trustworthy? Do you want to be consistent? Who are you? Where do you want to be in X number of years? You don't have to say a certain company. You don't have to say a certain position, or you could, depending on what helps you visualize it. But with me, I wanted to say, how many students' lives are we impacting by this date? And then that translated to the pro forma, the financial projections, because that's our user-based growth. I just feel like that too often people are saying, by this age, I'm going to reach C-suite, or by this age, I'm going to do this. And life comes at you fast, and you can feel perpetually behind, which is nice for motivation, but make sure your home base is secure. Lastly, I just got over this, which is embarrassing to say, when people would say, tell me about yourself. I would say, KÜDZOO is a free mobile app that rewards students for academic achievements. And I wore that as a badge of honor. It wasn't until I separated myself from the company where both started to thrive and get on an okay path.
Yeah, excellent. Is there anything on the horizon, anything that you see kind of out there in the future that says there's a tremendous possibility for growth in the future for entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. There are so many market trends right now, especially in the education technology space. They are, of course, content creators. We've seen this through YouTube and all of the juggernauts out there. But with learn from home and work from home, we're seeing teachers and students as these massive content creators. So I think that there's a really exciting trend for who's the next influencer, especially in education. What can we learn? And through MOOCs and different aspects, you could really learn from anywhere. So I think that there's an exciting trend on who we're listening to and who's speaking up.
Um, how do you like being an entrepreneur? What do you see as the advantages to being your own boss, to being your own path finder?
We'll start with the advantages, which is that freedom, but it could also be very scary. It's about time management. I mentioned feeling perpetually behind. You kind of come to peace with that and welcome it. It's not a 9 to 5, but there is no badge of honor burning out or only working. I won't fake like I have work-life balance. Some days are better than others. I think you are in that journey of trying to achieve that in whatever profession that you're in. And there are benefits of starting at a big company out of college. I totally recommend that if that is your path. However, working and partnering with bigger companies and seeing different thought processes, I've noticed a great advantage of starting your own company, kind of being thrown to the wolves with it, being humbled on the daily, but also pushed to perpetually learn. You talk about lifelong learning. Building a company, I mean, you only have to go to a few meetings and not know the answer to be like, I should brush up on a few things.
You say that one of the important skills is time management. Was that always something that came easily to you, or is that a skill, a mindset that you had to develop?
Develop and continue to sharpen. I love the stat. I think that there was some kind of fact like the ancient Egyptians had 3 different definitions for procrastination. And one was actually a productive way. Like you think of better ideas through procrastination.
Yeah.
So I'm not encouraging to procrastinate, but I do like to remain honest. Different days are different. So really weighing what are your urgent aspects, what do you need to do now, and be fully aware that there are going to be fire drills. There's going to be an error in the code. You're going to get that phone call, but how are you adapting and deviating along the path? When I was 16 and learning how to drive, I think in that Dairy Queen shopping center, I don't know if it's still there, you learn to parallel park up top. My father gave me advice and we were on a windy road heading there. And he goes, always imagine a deer around the turn. And he goes, people don't die from the deer, they die from swerving. And he said, imagine that in life. And it's not to go through life being scared, it's just hope to be prepared and not expect the worst, but kind of imagine if it does happen. Imagine you get a phone call when you're trying to focus on something in a lighter sense or even a greater magnitude, like avoiding an accident. I think that always stuck out with me because you're not swerving throughout life. You're more so prepared the best that you can be, at least.
Which segues really beautifully into what will be our last question, and that is, what advice would you give a high school junior or senior who wants to start out? They're envisioning now, they want that entrepreneurial experience. What advice would you give them?
That entrepreneurship comes in many forms. I love this term intrapreneur. You can have entrepreneurial skills at a larger company. You don't have to jump off this risk cliff and say, I need to start my business. Don't force it. Be called by your idea. I almost said passion because that's really what I want to leave with this. There's Professor Scott Galloway at NYU who has this saying that people who say follow your passion are usually already rich. And I think that that's so funny because when I was in high school, people would say, follow your passion, and everyone's nodding. And I felt like, oh no, like I'm lacking. I don't know what my passion is. And I want to leave you with that. You can be passionate about what you do. You can love it. But like I said before, it comes with this strong footnote. Do I love looking for the error in the code or answering an email that's maybe not so nice, asking some questions? No, but you have your North Star. So whether it's your own company that you want your North Star in, or whether it's a company you're working for, make sure that you love that overall mission and aspect, but don't feel like you're lacking because you don't know it yet. It comes with experience, it comes with traction, and then you can feel like you are embracing that passion, but you don't need to know it off the bat.
Life is a process, no doubt about it. Logan, I've got to thank you. This has been wonderful. Absolutely a pleasure to hear from you and to learn from you. This has been inspiring and educational and influential. So there's that influencer again. You can teach old dogs new tricks. And I love that concept of the entrepreneur, that you can be a agent of change within an organization that already exists. So, and I think that'll help a lot here. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you, Great Valley.